Hi, I'm Rob from the Mind Your Head podcast. If this is your first time joining us, hi, nice to meet you. Thank you for coming along. I'm here today with Lindsay.
Hi guys, I'm Lindsay. I'm with OryxCare. I provide mental health services for the construction industry.
Yeah, we've decided to team together to start discussing about things that we see that are going on within the mental health and well-being within the construction industry. The fact that I'm over in the UK and Lindsay's in the States or the UAE just goes to show that this is a global problem.
Yep. Yeah, so we get into that a little bit and kind of just talk about a lot of different things, really. So hopefully you guys find it helpful and interesting and come along with us.
Yeah.
As we continue to do these, I think we're going to try to do them monthly.
And if there's anything that you want us to talk about that you're noticing within the industry, let us know. Let us know in the comments below.
Yep.
And we'll try and have a discussion about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love hearing from people and getting different perspective stuff. So yeah, that's always welcomed.
All right, great. Well, thank you for coming along with us this time, and I'll see you soon. It's me just sitting in my comfort zone, and it doesn't allow me to grow as a person. And obviously I've done the role that I've done now for a long time, and I want to change the way I am, and I want to grow and do more. I've delivered I've been part of teams that have delivered some fantastic projects, construction projects over the years, that are really up there, that are Manchester City's training ground, which is a huge training facility and academy that all the youth team come through, and do so much for the community around in Manchester where they're from, and various other projects. But I'm really much over that now, and I get no pleasure out of the work that I do. I do it because it's work and it pays the bills. Whereas really what I want to be doing is expanding my horizons and pushing myself, giving myself that challenge to, I say it all the time, but step out your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't become monotonous, and it doesn't become very samey, and wake your alarm going off at whatever time in the morning, you think, oh God, I've got to go to work. Now my alarm goes off and I'm like, right, I've got to do this and this today, because it's going to do this and everything like that. And I'll be so when I'm doing the physical building bricklaying side of things, that allows my mind to think of all the things that I'd like to do with the podcast. And that's like what I was working on at home when I came up with the idea of doing this, what we're doing now together. And it's because I'm doing something now that I really enjoy, and it's giving me the freedom, that like a weight's been lifted off my shoulder, and it allows me to come up with loads of ideas, and it's not pressured. I'm not thinking, right, I've got to. It's because I'm relaxed and comfortable in it. It's just happening naturally, and it's really good. Whereas a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do that, and it has nothing to do with the company that I work for. It's just because that's not what I wanted to do. That wasn't my purpose. And I think doing things like this and helping people out within the construction industry to do with their mental health and well-being and all the things that I'm up to at the minute is absolutely my purpose in life.
Yeah.
I found my purpose, and I can't express it enough to people to push the boundaries a little bit, and step out of that comfort zone and find something that they love and that they're passionate about. And it's very true what they say, that if you do a job that you love, you'll never work a day again in your life.
Yeah, that's so true. I came to the same conclusion, a little bit different. I've always naturally been a helper, so I always knew that I would be helping people in some way. But I actually walked away from a career in doing so. When I finished grad school, I actually turned down a job to be a full-time therapist here, close to home, in an area that really needed it. And because it all had become monotonous to me in the process. So I wasn't enjoying it. I needed something different. So that's when I went to work with Oryx Consulting and with Chris and within the construction industry. And then that is what gave me the idea, I saw that the mental health stuff was such a problem. And then I was like, this is how I come back to that stuff. But it was because I walked away from the comfort and the monotony and all that stuff to find this. So yeah, same thing. If I would have never decided to change it up, and it made me 100% uncomfortable the first time I left. I went to, because we travel a lot with what we do with Oryx Consulting, and the first I traveled within the States, like out to the West Coast a couple of times to start, but then I went overseas for the first time, and I think I went to Italy, and I was traveling over there by myself. I had traveled overseas by myself before, but it was like for fun, it's way different. And this was for work. And I was so nervous. I even remember my mom dropping me off at the airport and me telling her, I don't think I can do this. I think I'm just going to go home. I don't think I can do this. And she's just like, just go try it. And if you hate it after a week, you can come home. And it was the best decision I could have made, honestly.
Yeah.
I can't imagine kind of how miserable I guess I'd be probably if I, and it was an adjustment, and it wasn't always easy, but it felt right and it was exciting, and so you just got to go with that.
And outside of work, do you feel you've grown as a person as well?
Yes. Yeah. And I think some of that is, well, by getting out of your comfort zone and all of that stuff, you just learn so much about yourself. It gives you mental clarity. And then travel too has been huge for me, because I've just seen so many different things and places, and I've met different people, and so many different people within the industry too. But yeah, personally and professionally, just night and day different.
Yeah,
I was really quiet and reserved, and I didn't say much before. Yeah,
and it just gives you that confidence to get out, see the world, see different situations, see how other people do it as well. If you've been doing the same thing for years and years, and so used to doing it that way, if you come to a problem that you don't know how to solve, whether it is you're building something, manufacturing something, or you get a client that comes to see you and says, I've got this issue, and you've only ever dealt with one type of thing, you've never gone out there and seen how other people do it, it limits you as a person, both professionally and personally as well. And I always say to apprentices that we have at work, so they'll typically over in the UK, no matter what your trade is, your apprenticeship tends to last about 3 to 4 years. You can go on and do higher learning and things like that. I always say to all our apprentices, when they finish their apprenticeship, do a year with us. Then after that year, leave. Not that we want to get rid of you, but because it'll give you the perspective of going working in the big bad world, and you're not going to be looked after by somebody like myself or one of the other managers that you work with. You can go out and you can grow as a person, and you can gain experience and get new knowledge, because there's people out there that will give you a different perspective on something that I've taught you, and that's what I'm doing now. I've come to a natural end, where I am now. I absolutely love the company, but for me to grow as a person, I think it's time to change it up a little bit. And I always know there will be a job there for me, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And I probably will end up doing a bit of work together with them. But the main bulk of my work will be pushing myself now to go out and find the work that I want to do, and that gives me that sense of achievement. And it's great. It really is great.
Yeah, it's fun. We were just I did a video with Chris the other day. Well, I did it about a month ago before I came home, but I finally edited it the other day. And he's been in the industry for a long time. I 27 years or something like that, a long time. And that was I asked him, if you could give someone young in the industry starting out advice, what would it be? And he just said, achieve. That's what you know, the industry is full of so many opportunities. You know, you should always be focusing on what you can achieve, and you can't do that without trying different things, stepping outside of your comfort zone, talking to different people, getting perspective. Yeah.
And if you do change and go down a different route, and you don't like it, it's not a failure. It's just
right.
growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just know you're learning. You're constantly learning. And like Chris is right, there's so many different opportunities within the industry and so many different trades and positions that you can do, that you might float about a bit and do something for a couple of years or wherever, but it'll lead you down and then give you the experience to find something that you're truly passionate about, and you get fulfillment out of it, because there's no way of getting away from it, that we're going to be working longer and longer and longer and longer. So if you're going to be doing something that to be a 78, maybe not 80 because your body will give up, but at least 70, 75 years old, you might as well do something that you enjoy, rather than turning up to work and being absolutely miserable, and then you'll go home and you'll be miserable, and then your family life starts suffering and your personal life starts suffering from it, and it's just a vicious circle, and it's not a nice place to be. I've been there. I've been there and I've done that, and I almost lost everything around me because of, well, it's work, it's what I do. I
have to do it. Yeah,
I have to do it. Yes, you have to do it. There's no way getting away from it. We all need money to survive, but there's ways and means of earning money to make you happy along the way.
Especially now. Like, if you can dream it, you can do it. Like I used to hear people say that, and I'm like, oh, yeah, but dreaming doesn't pay the bills. But if you enjoy it enough, and usually the joy and that stuff provides the drive, then you just got to go after it. But yeah, you don't know until you try different things. I did so many different things throughout like my 20s, school, work, volunteer work, all that stuff. And as I creep close to 30, I was thinking to myself, like, what have I've just done a lot of different stuff. I feel like I haven't really got anywhere. But now that I have gotten a little bit older, and I kind of see how I conduct myself now, and I listen to, like, sometimes I'll say things or do things, I'm like, where did that confidence come from? Where, like, I used to be this, like, I had no confidence, you know, I was so quiet and I didn't have a voice, and I do say and do things now, and I'm like, oh, it's because I've tried all those different things. It's because I've went out of my comfort zone, and, you know, and I've followed Chris into so many meetings where he's so good in meetings, and I'm just like, I'll never be able to do that. And there for a while I was thinking, why am I even in here? I don't really contribute much. And then now I go into meetings for my own stuff, and I can do it, you know, like I can talk to people, and I just, like, even sometimes you'll be talking in a group meeting and everybody's looking at you, like, engaged in what you're saying. And I would have never guessed even a year ago that I could do that. But it was because of all those things and all those meetings with Chris and all the different things I've tried. But it's just stepping out of your comfort zone, and that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part.
It is, yeah. It's having that confidence to move forward. I had exactly the same thing yesterday. In fact, I did. It was for a multinational construction company over here that we do work for, and I got a phone call out of the blue off them, saying, "Would you like to come and just give a?" Sorry, I'm tripping over the words. They said they originally rang me up and said, "Can you give us some advice about mental health in the construction industry? We've seen that you've been doing some good work, and it'd be great to get your expertise." And when they said that to me, I thought, somebody's ringing me up for my expertise. I've never had that before.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I can help you. What do you need? And he said, well, we've got a PowerPoint. We want to do a PowerPoint presentation. What do you do when you give all your talks? I went, I don't use PowerPoint. I don't use any sort of prompting stuff. I go in and I give a natural account, organic account of what I've been through, what I see in the industry, and what I feel is happening in the industry, and what we need to, my opinion of what we need to do. I said, I can send you some stuff over if you want, which it did. And I'm glad actually they chopped it right down. I think they only used a couple of things, and two of the slides were just posters that we put around in the welfare areas, so the canteens and stuff like that, and toilet blocks for the guys and girls on site to read. But and they said, "Would you like to talk in it?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, I'll talk." And it was for all the regional directors. So it's a big multinational company, but then they're split up into regions, and we're in the northwest of England. It was their northwest division, and then all the subcontractors that work for them, all their directors came on. And when I got copied into one of the emails, there must have been about 127 people copied into this email. I was like, oh God, this is going to be quite a lot of people. But I did it, and I thought to myself, if somebody had asked me to stand up, standing up and talking in front of people or talking over Zoom doesn't bother me.
Yeah, me neither.
It's the confidence of the knowledge that and what I'm trying to tell that I struggle with, or because I always second guess myself all the time. I think, am I saying the right thing? But because I'm doing something that I enjoy and I'm passionate about, it just flows.
It does.
It just absolutely flows. I did this. They said, "Oh, you can talk for about 20 minutes." So I was like, "Yeah," and then I looked at my because I had my phone running at the side of me with the timer on to make sure I didn't overrun. And because there was so much interaction with people, I actually spoke for 45 minutes.
That's awesome.
And it was great, and people coming back and forth and asking for bits of information. I've had a couple of emails afterwards, so it's great, and I absolutely loved it. And I definitely wouldn't have had the confidence a year ago to stand up and for people to ask for my expertise on stuff to do with construction. But because I am doing something that I love, it's I can do that for you, and the confidence just builds and builds and builds.
It does. I'm with you. I would have never thought I could do things like that or even be on camera. It was really hard for me at first. I don't mind like Zoom talks like this, but even like knowing at the beginning that it was recording, I would get like, oh, what if I say something wrong, or what if? But I mean, I just don't really even think about that stuff now. I think too, the harder you work at something, and the more you just learn and educate yourself and all of that stuff. I went to school for this stuff, so obviously I have all that education, but even continued education after that, the more you learn and the harder you work at it, the more naturally it becomes, especially when you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because you just things stick with you more when you're having fun with it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you don't have to try.
Yeah.
I think, oh right, I really need to remember that because you're loving it and enjoying it. It just sticks.
Yeah.
And then a couple of times, I've said it on the podcast, or I've done it on like Instagram lives and things like that. And when I've watched it back, I was like, did I actually just say that? That actually makes a bit of sense. That.
Yeah, it like sounds so smart, and you're like, where did that? But you have the knowledge. It's, I think our only limit is the doubt that you and I have talked about imposter syndrome before. And it's a real thing, but you just have to ignore those. I mean, there's some things in life that like we're just not good at, like and I don't have a problem admitting when I'm not good at something and I'm just not going to go down that road. But I think a lot of times that doubt is it's your own stuff. You just have to ignore that, and it doesn't go away until you try and build the confidence, and eventually it gets better the more you do it.
There's no point in trying to force yourself to do something that you're not enjoying it, you're not wanting to do it, and so you're not going to put the time and effort in, and it's going to become a chore, and it's going to be, you think, oh, really, so you're not going to put 100% into it. But if you do go and find what you are meant to do, we're both obviously lucky enough to get to that point now where we do go and do things, or we are doing things that feed into our passion, and the end results are unbelievable. I think I've never felt when I've been helping people at work and they've come back and thanked me and or sent me a message or whatever it is, that to me is worth more than any money in the world. If I can go out and do bits of work to bring money in, and then it allows me to go off to do work that I can help people out, and all the volunteering work I'm doing, it's worth more than any money. It's
Yeah.
just pretty difficult when you got bills to pay.
Yeah, I just said that to someone the other day. I was like, if I could just help people and make a positive, if I just somehow became rich or was born rich or whatever, I would just offer help all the time.
Yeah.
I would just help all the time. Like, I know that's what I'm made to do. But yeah, like you said, you do have to, like, I'm not rich, so I have to earn
far
money.
from it.
Yeah. So yeah, you definitely can't do it for free I mean, there are still some things I'm willing to just give, like you see the stuff I post online, and the same to you, same with you. There's a tons of information that I'm willing to just give, and that's all. It probably seems like simple stuff, but it took me years of studying and just dedication to my craft to be able to come up with those posts and things, or those articles I write and stuff like that. I don't mind giving that stuff, but yeah, eventually you gotta pay the bills.
Yeah, you gotta pay the bills. Yeah, absolutely. But it's, I mean, I always try, and with all the stuff I do, I always try and refer it back to work, because obviously I know a lot of it is, but I'll say to lads that if they're struggling and not understanding a drawing that they're working from, they'd turn around to myself or one of the other management team and say, "Oh, I don't quite understand this drawing," and they'll be asking for your help, and then somebody can explain it to them. And I say that to them about the mental health as well. I say that to them, that if you're going through something and you don't understand, speak to somebody, and their help. There's people like myself and you out there that we can give them little nuggets of information that works for us. And I always say, this works for me, it might not work for you, but take it as you will, and use it as you want. But if not, there's always people like yourself out there, Lindsay, that can give them that professional help. And that's where the two links cross over, I think.
Absolutely. And I think too, people, we've talked about this before too, where people just don't understand mental health. They not only don't understand mental health, but they don't understand that the different types of help that are out there. I think when people have a problem, or when they're told maybe you should get some help, they automatically think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to do all this intense therapy, and it's going to be really hard and expensive and all. And it doesn't have to be like that. There's so many different options for help out there now. And what I do is really ground level stuff. It's okay, what are you struggling with? Here's what that is. Here's what you can do about it. Things like that. It doesn't have to be years of therapy or tons of money, or so. And it's just understanding, and that'll come with time and doing like what we do and getting the word out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It all goes back to time and experience, because you'll get to start to recognize the signs. And when I'm having a bad day, I've now learned to recognize the signs, and I'm pretty strong-minded in the sense that I'm like, I'm not going to let this overtake my day. I will try and get out and be active and get doing something. Hopefully by lunchtime, I've kicked it. And if it is still hovering around, I try not to let it consume me that day. And I always know tomorrow's another day, and we can back again with it. But that just comes down to experience and learning to ask the question. But it's like anything, whether you put it in a work perspective, or whether you put it in what we're talking about now. It's people need to understand that there is help out there, and it's easily and readily available. And you're absolutely right; it doesn't have to cost thousands of dollars or thousands of pounds, and you have to commit hours and hours of your life to it. It can be a few simple changes in your life that you can guide them with, and it can make the world a difference for them.
Absolutely. It can be an hour a month, and all of that stuff, any change you make personally or professionally or whatever the case may be, those are things you're doing. Those are things you're implementing into your life. People like me and people like you're just giving them the tools to do it. A lot of people go through they don't even know where to start. Like I can't, if you're having a hard time, I can't change it for you. But you and I can have a conversation about, well, what are you trying? What's working? That's obviously not working. So have you thought of this? It's just that guidance. And two, the construction industry is so male dominant. Men don't quite process those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of, I hate saying it. I hate being like generalizing it like that. And I definitely don't mean it bad. It's just men would rather bury themselves in more work than try and like working on things. Like working on yourself is hard work, you know. Sometimes it's not fun, you know. It brings up, when I say it's hard work, it brings up bad feelings. And yeah, I think a lot of times men have the tendencies they'd rather just bury it. But if you just stay ahead of it, it's just little things.
Yeah, it's just maintenance. That's all it is. And I was absolutely that person. I was, instead of reaching out and saying, I'm feeling like this and I don't understand why I'm feeling like this, I was like, push it down, push it down, push it down, keep going, doing work to distract myself, instead of turning around to the people that love me and care about me and say, I feel like this and I don't know why, can you help me? And I just I ticked every single box there that you were talking about. And it's so and it's, at the time when you're doing it, you don't realize, and it's so easy to fall into that trap. I still do it now, Lindsay. Even with all the training and the knowledge I've got, I still slip and fall into those categories. And I catch myself out now. I might come home and I could be in a bad mood for whatever, or just tired. More than anything, it's just tired. And
tired is a big one.
Yeah, because you put a post on about it the other day. It's not only is it dangerous to work when you're tired, but it's bad for your mental health as well, because your brain needs to rest if you're not giving it that time to rest. See, I used to do a lot of driving, and I used to just sit, and because I was tired and trying to concentrate on driving, especially winter time when it's dark nights and wet because it rains all the time. I used to just sit in the van and chew over all the thoughts that I didn't understand, that I've been trying to block out in the day by keeping myself busy. And then when I was sitting down for, I don't know, 2 hours, an hour and a half after work, I'd get out of the van and I'd be in a raging mood because I didn't know what to do with what I was feeling. And then I'd come home and just be a horrible person at home, and it was causing problems at home, because I wasn't talking about it, because I wasn't understanding, because I wasn't reaching out, and I wasn't working on myself. If the van that I drive to from work was breaking down constantly, or not working properly and running on all cylinders, I take it to a mechanic to get it fixed. I say to him, I've got this problem, and it's this and this when I'm driving it, whatever it might be. Can you have a look at it? And they'll diagnose a problem, or they'll have a look at it and say, I think it's this. Right, let's work on that. Yeah, it's worked. No, it hasn't. Let's try something else. And it's exactly the same with your brain.
It is. And it's continuous, like it is with a car or an excavator or anything. Like you don't just maintenance it one time.
No.
You have to continuously maintenance it. And that's how we work too. And the tired one is so big. And I think that's probably, I suspect a lot of people in the industry are fighting sleep deprivation a lot. And it's scary to think about. But I think there's some statistic I'd have to look it up. So I don't want to this isn't 100%, but there's something, if you're behind on sleep, however many hours, it's basically the same as having so many beers and then driving. It's the same sort of effect. Your brain and your body need the sleep, and that's where your sleep is where your brain takes all the new information you've absorbed during the day and retains it. So without that, your brain's not getting the chance to do that. So you're just yeah, you're running, you're kind of like a zombie the whole next day
Yeah,
then, because
yeah.
your brain hasn't had its time.
You're just running on empty all the time,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
it's very, very dangerous, and it compounds everything else as well. So if you have got a lot of stress, or say if you've got a site that's running behind or over budget, and you've got all that stress on top of you as well as the tiredness, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And people really need to start stepping back and looking. I know it's very, very difficult to do. It really, really is. If you're getting phone calls, emails, people coming in your office, or when you're out on site or wherever you might be, and people just bombarding you with problems, it's very difficult, because sleep and everything else gets pushed to the back of your mind, because you're trying to
Hmm.
deal with the problem that you're dealing with in that moment. And what I used to find as well with myself is that I would have a lot of problems, general work problems. Materials won't work, material shortage, a piece of plant had broke down, or whatever it might be, an up and coming event on site, and I wouldn't know if I was tired. I'd be making wrong, rash decisions, and I'd constantly be firefighting all the time,
Yeah.
instead of being 2 or 3 steps ahead of myself and making life easy for myself. I was making silly, at the worst, was making silly, stupid mistakes that I was like, oh, why have I done that? And it it can ultimately as well lead to an accident. I was putting the men that work with me, or the staff that work with me, I was putting them at risk,
Yeah.
because I was making wrong decisions that could have affected their safety.
Hmm. Oh,
And
that could have been solved with just a good night's sleep.
yeah, absolutely,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yep.
a good night's sleep.
Yeah, it's just the little things that I think people take for granted, and then you also have your personal life that feeds into that. Like I was just thinking about my dad. He's an operator, and he's getting up. I want to say he's getting up at like 3:30 right now to get to work. He's got like a pretty big commute at the moment, and but he has a teenager at home, and it's summertime, and my little brother wants to be out with his friends. So then my dad's up worrying, making sure Austin gets home in time and he's safe. So then, obviously my little brother's schedule is a lot different than my dad's.
Yeah,
So, you have all that sort of personal lives, things like that feed into a lack of sleep, but the work keeps going.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's just hard. And that goes back to the demandingness of the industry and how it all kind of just feeds this kind of these unhealthy lifestyles.
and I think nutrition plays a part in it as well.
Yeah, it's funny that I was just starting to think about nutrition and how I could kind of start talking about that and how important it is. Another thing, a huge thing, and it's something I've learned personally too, that I think we all take for granted. What you're,
Yeah,
yeah.
because our lives are so busy in general that
Hmm.
we are eating on the go all the time, and you're not
Hmm.
sitting down. So today, for instance, although I was quite busy today, um, before I knew it, it was like nearly 11 o'clock. I thought, I haven't eaten anything today. I haven't drank. Like usually, I get up, have a coffee, and a bit of breakfast.
Hmm.
Well, this morning I didn't. I got up and I had to go out and pick something up, and work and things like that, because it wasn't in, but it was coming in this morning. So I skipped breakfast, and before I know it, I was sat. I picked up the scaffolding that I needed to get, and I was like, why do I feel crap? Why do I feel like really lethargic? I thought, I've not eaten or drank a single thing. All I've done
Well,
is got up, had a wash, brushed my teeth, put my work boots on, and walked out the house. And
yep.
I was running on empty, and went into the shop, and I got a sandwich in a plastic
Yeah.
triangle,
Yeah.
and
Super
and
nutritious.
yeah, super nutritious. But
Yeah.
I did get a smoothie. Just I was like, oh yeah,
There
it's
you
full
go.
of fruit. But
Yeah.
it's the culture that we live in. Sorry, that we work in. That it you are eating on the go, and I'm sure your dad's probably done the same thing, where
Yeah.
he's leaving at 3:30 in the morning, and everything that's going on, and he might have made himself lunch the night before, but I certainly think it's 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, whatever it is, and I've got to make my lunch. I'll do it in the morning. You get up, you think, oh, it's 3:30, I'm not going to do it. And you leave. And then you'll go out and you'll go to a burger van, or you'll go to fast food chain, or wherever, and you'll end up eating something that is not good for you.
No. And then you feel like crap.
Yeah. You might be all right for a bit, but then the sugar hit or whatever it might be, you'll start to wear off, and then you start to dip down, and then you're up and down, and it's affecting your mood. And not drinking enough water. I'm really bad for not drinking enough water.
That's so big, and that's another thing I had to learn too when I started going to the Middle East. I was terrible, and I don't know if it's coming. You probably can relate to this. Coming from, it's not an excuse, but coming from a cold climate, you don't need as much water. So then when you get into a hot climate, you're just like, you feel awful. And now I'm a lot better about it, because I got dehydrated a couple of times. Just even this last time I was there, like, I still obviously haven't learned, but this time of year or summertime, guys are working in the heat. If they're not drinking water, that has so many bad effects, short term and long term.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's something that's emphasized on job sites, good hydration. Places like Australia and the Middle East, it has to be, because they wouldn't survive.
Yeah.
Working in that heat without it. But here in England, I don't know. You can get through a cold day without it.
Certain sites that I work on do have charts on the wall. If your pee looks like this, then drink more water or whatever.
Those crack me up.
But it's not a massive thing. But this is just another thing that plays back into the fact that your mental health and physical health go hand in hand.
They do.
One's not right, the other's not going to be right, and one's probably telling you that the other one's not right in whatever way it might be.
Yeah, because mental health will, a lot of times, it'll show itself in physical symptoms. Guys seem to oh, my stomach hurts, or this, or and it's because they're so stressed out, and they're taking such poor care of themselves, and then those two things are just feeding each other. And it's I talk to my dad a lot. He's 53 now, and his blood pressure became an issue a few months ago. He's like, I don't know how. He was angry about his blood pressure being up, and I'm like, well, listen to yourself right now. Listen how angry you are about it. Do you think maybe that has something to do with it? But that didn't even occur to him. He's so on edge all the time that, I know that's what's causing his high blood pressure. He's a healthy guy. He's always been a healthy guy. So it's his stress levels that's causing that, and it just doesn't even occur to him.
No, and it's the way people talk to each other on site as well. On construction sites is another thing, because they are sleep deprived, they are bad nutrition, they are dehydrated, they probably have underlying health issues now because of all of the above.
All of that,
and then tempers start fraying, and then again you're just feeding into the vicious circle of stress and anxiety, which will leads to other things in your life. And if you start recognizing the simple steps to looking after yourself, whether it is eating, instead of eating a candy bar
Burger
or chocolate
King,
bar, eat a piece of fruit, or have a drink of water rather than a coffee or something like that. And it's just a few little simple steps that can lead to big changes in your life. Once you start recognizing the signs, it becomes easy, it becomes maintenance. And like you said before, it is an ongoing thing. You don't go to see a therapist for whether it's talking therapy or CBT training or whatever it might be. You don't do 10 sessions and go, right, mental health completed it.
Oh, I'm perfect now. Yeah. I'm never gonna have any more problems.
I've been to 10 sessions. That means I'm cured.
Yeah. People can be in therapy their whole lives and still be learning stuff. That's the thing, we're always learning about ourselves, and our even as much as we fight it, our circumstances are always changing, and you have to learn to adjust to those things, and it's going to be a struggle probably every time, at least for a little bit. But if you have the tools to deal with it, then it's you're 10 times better off than
it becomes part of your routine, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it just becomes another thing that like your instincts kick in, like, oh, we've been here before, it's no problem. We got through it the last time, the last 3 times, we'll get through it this time. And everything stops feeling like such a big deal. Every time something little happens, when you're not equipped with the right tools or you're not in the right mindset. I've been there too. Something small will happen. I'm like, oh my God, it's like the world's ending. And it's really, it's nothing. Like it's not nothing, but it's usually pretty manageable.
Yeah, you've got the experience to know how to do it, but because you're not thinking straight, then it can be blown out of proportion. And
for sure,
it goes back to what we started talking about at the beginning, that if you're in a situation that you're not happy with a new workplace, then everything's going to become a problem. It's going to become a chore. You're not going to be wanting to look after yourself. You're not going to be wanting to take the healthier option. You're not wanting to, because you think, a lot of the time I used to think, well, what's the point? I can't be bothered. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And that was another one for me, actually. I'll do it later. I'll do it because I didn't want to do it. Instead of just doing it and getting over it and done with, sort of thing, I keep putting off and putting off, and then I end up putting massive pressure on myself. Think, I need to get this finished now, and then you end up rushing it, and it's a lot of the time it's a waste. I used to get phone calls saying, "Will you read your emails before you send them, please?" I said that politely, and a lot of the time, it's just another factor that plays into it.
It is, and usually the things I think the things you're saying, I'll do it later, those are usually the important things. We tend to prioritize the not important things, and
because for me, you're absolutely right. I've ticked so many boxes tonight, but it's
me too. I've been there. I still do that too.
Because if it was like the non-important thing, it was easier to do, so I could just do it, and it's done. Where if it was something that it is a bit difficult and I need to think about it, or I need to make sure that process is right of a particular job that we're doing, I used to put it off because I didn't want to do it. I was doing something that gave me no joy, no fulfillment, and it was monotonous to me.
Yeah, and that just goes back to kind of what we planned on talking about. Really, was if you're feeling like that all the time, there's an issue.
Yeah,
and you have to start listening to yourself.
Yeah.
If it's becoming that hard to get simple things done, I think it's probably time to, like your mind, your body has a really good way of telling you things, but most people don't listen.
Yeah.
And
you choose to block it out.
Yeah, because it's easier, because it's comfortable. Like we were talking about earlier, it's way more comfortable to just stay. Even if Chris always says this phrase, he'll always say, "Better the devil you know." And I think that's what he used to say it about everything. I was like, why does he say that all the time? And then it occurred to me, I think people just get in these ruts because they know it. They know that. They know, okay, this isn't fun. I don't really like it, but I know what to expect. I get up every day. I know what's going to happen. I got to get to work, and this is going to happen. This person's probably going to make me mad, or this is probably going to go wrong, or whatever. But at least I know. At least I'm prepared. Nothing's going to surprise me. But I just don't agree that that's any way to live. You got to find what makes you feel. We're all meant to feel joy. I think some people get in these mindsets where maybe I'm just not meant to be happy, and I just don't buy into that. I just think that's BS. I think we're all meant to be happy, but it takes work. It takes commitment to yourself.
Yeah, it really does. There's I was just like, oh well, if I go and do something else, then I've got to start at the bottom and work my way up again. But my mind, I can't get my words out. My way of thinking has totally changed towards work. No matter what type of work that is, whether it is the mental health and well-being part of my work, or whether it's the physically building stuff, I've totally and utterly changed my way of thinking of it, and I just do work now that one I want to do, and two, I don't feel if I have a spare space in my day or in my calendar, instead of filling it with work, I fill it with something that gives me happiness and joy now.
Hmm.
And I will go and do things with the kids. I'll go and do things with Lou. I'll go and do things with friends instead of thinking, right, I've got to do work. Because another thing I used to think as well, that I call it, right, I call it the suffering Olympics, because we all we all on site, everybody's like, I've worked 79 hours last week, and then the next person, well, I've done 107 hours and blah blah blah. It's not about that. It's
Yeah.
absolutely not about that.
No. So yeah, it's like a competition.
Yeah, it's a competition.
Yeah.
I've put myself through the most. It's not. It's. I actually had a really good conversation with a guy called Ricky last night. He runs a business that does really smart storage solutions for your house and things like that. And he says people take the piss out of him all the time, because sometimes he's done for 1 o'clock in the afternoon. His working day is done. He says, I
Yeah.
know I've earned enough money in that time to pay my bills, give me a comfortable lifestyle. Why do we need to do more of something that then can? He says, I'd get sick of it, and then I wouldn't put as much effort into what I do.
Hmm.
Because he was saying that he's had a couple of businesses along the way, and he says one of the particular businesses he did absolutely changed his mindset to the way of thinking about working for himself. Because a lot of people that I speak to say that when they work for themselves, they want more time. Oh, I'll say to them, what's the most important thing to you about setting up your business? Is it to make money? Is it for more time? 9 times out of 10, people say to me, it's to have time with my family, with the kids,
Hmm.
with my wife, with my husband, with my partner, whatever it might be. But then I'll say to them, so why are you working constantly? Why are you moving away from one of the goals that you set, or the main goal that you set?
Hmm.
Yes, it's very good that you can go out and you can afford nice materialistic things, um, but they're not what make you happy. They're not what you said that you're setting your business up to do. You said you're setting your business up to do something that makes you happy, and that is spend time with your friends and
With
family
your
and loved
family.
ones.
Hmm.
And if you're sacrificing that to get more money in over and above what you need, then you're not fulfilling one of your goals. You might as well
Hmm.
go back working for somebody.
I think people forget why they started to begin with. Money is enticing for everybody, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Especially when you start making good money. I've never done that, but
yeah,
I know enough people that have. Um, it becomes a little bit like a drug, like, oh, I made this much. I bet I can make
yeah,
this much. And then it just like but then it becomes all about the money and not about what your goals were. I think a lot of people go into business for themselves first because they want to be their own boss and they want to make their own rules.
yeah,
Um, but two, because it's a passion, it's their passion. That's what it started out as, is their
yeah,
passion. It's what made them happy. But then it switches and it becomes all about how much money they can earn. And
yeah,
and but I think that's great that Ricky can do that. I mean, if he's happy and he's making a good living and he's, if
yeah,
he has a family and they're taken care of or whatever, I
yeah,
mean, you don't have to work, 14 hours a day. And I think sometimes too, like, when you go to work for companies or whatever, you have to work those 8 hours. It doesn't matter if you're productive during those 8 hours, but you have to be there during those 8 hours. So
yeah.
it's just like yeah, if you're being productive or not, it doesn't matter. But so I think everybody gets into that habit of, I have to work this many hours. But I mean, it doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And like Ricky said, I probably could. I'm at a stage now where I could step up my business, and I could go national with it. But he says,
Yeah.
I don't want that. I really don't
Yeah.
want that. I've got another friend, Stuart, who we do a lot of work with. He runs a gas company, so they install big industrial boilers and things like that in warehouses and all that sort of stuff. And he's at a stage now where it grow naturally because he's very good at his job. He's really good lads that work for him. But he's at a stage now where he's working ridiculous hours just to pay the overheads within his business, which he needs to operate. And he said to me, I'm at a stage where do a downsize and go back to where we were a year ago or 2 years ago, just tootling along nicely, which is probably the area that Ricky's in. He says, oh, I'm going to have to step it up even bigger, put more stress on myself, probably work more hours, but the money that will be coming in will be bigger, which will then allow me to try and step away from it all. So he's in a dilemma at the minute, and he doesn't know really where he wants to go with it all. And people can, like you said before, can absolutely get sucked into it and see the pound and dollar sign, and that'll be what's driving them. And I guess it's like all the old prospectors in the gold rush and things like that. I'll just do a little bit more. I'll just do a little bit more digging. I'll just do.
Yeah.
And sometimes
it's an addiction.
It can lead to nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. That was actually Chris left Australia, and he had a big business in Australia with a bunch of employees and a bunch of equipment and all this stuff. And then when he decided to leave and he started his business in the Middle East, it was like the opposite. He wanted to have very specific goals and very specific target audience or target, client or whatever. And he's just stuck with that, and that's what, and he does it. He's enjoying what he does, and he doesn't have the stress over him with just the amount of money it took to run that business and the people that depended on him. And
and I'm the same now. I'm moving away from the big commercial builds that I work on, and even on the residential and domestic stuff that I'm moving into, I'm turning down jobs that I'm going to be on longer than a week or so because I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't want that stress.
Yeah.
I'd rather have I have to have a lot of jobs to keep myself going if I'm doing smaller stuff, but also it allows me to do like what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And other stuff.
Which you enjoy.
And there's a nice balance as well, because if I'm doing the same thing day in, day out, then it can become monotonous and it can become too much. And then I'm just back to square one again.
Yeah.
But it's allowing me to have the variety and do two things that I'm passionate about, because I'm very passionate about bricklaying and the construction industry.
Yeah.
And everything behind it. But if you're doing it all day, every day, then it can be very samey, and then there's no I say a lot of the time it's like going to a nice restaurant. If you eat at that restaurant every single night, it doesn't become special anymore. It just becomes a meal. And
exactly. And I think I've noticed that with travel, like, because I travel the same place a lot, and then I feel kind of like a jerk saying, I've been to the Burj Khalifa and to the Dubai Mall and to like all these, I've been to them so many times that like it's still cool to see them. But when I get up to them, I like the first time I went, I was like, wow, the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. And now I see it constantly, like in the distance, and I'm just like, I'll still look for it and like scope it out to see, because it's amazing how far away you can see it from. But I'm just like, or like going into Dubai now, I'm like, people hear Dubai, they're like, oh my God, Dubai. And I'm just like, oh, the traffic sucks. And, it's like, it just becomes, like the newness wears off, I guess.
Yeah. It does. It's, I think people are like that with the feelings as well, because I think people think that, well, I've been told I've got depression, and to get over depression, I have to be happy. Absolutely not.
No.
It's being able to understand feelings. If you are happy all the time, then it just becomes a numbness. It's like being sad all the time. You need the different variety and the different feelings and the different life experiences.
You need one to appreciate the other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It all goes back that you need to have the variety to make you realize and appreciate the things you've got around you. And that happened to me when I was at my lowest point, and I had that reset moment, and I was realizing that I'm going to lose everything that I've worked so hard for, and everything that I find precious to Louise, my wife, and the children, and everything around me, because I was just doing the same thing day in, day out, and not understanding it, and not looking after myself, and not registering what was going on with me.
Yeah. And you become, you just become angry all the time. And
Yeah.
It's just no way to live. And I think people just think that that's just how life is, like you get to a certain age, and then it's time to get serious, and it's time to have the house and the kids and the cars and there's just so much more to it than that. There's so much. I'd rather have nothing and be happy.
But be happy.
Yeah.
Because you're only doing stuff to try and impress others, and there's nothing, there's no rule book out there that's saying by the time you're 26 you should be doing this job, and then by the time you're 30 you should have a mortgage, and by the time you should be married, and blah blah blah. And absolutely not. Do what works for you. Just do you.
Exactly. Yeah, the more you give yourself timelines and expectations and all of that stuff, the more unobtainable they become, and the less enjoyable they are when you reach them. I had goals for school. I wanted to get my master's degree by this age, and I remember walking across the stage and getting my master's degree, and literally having no feelings about it. Just like, oh, it's over now. Now what do I do? I wasn't even happy about it. I don't know if I've yet to be. I see it hangs on my wall. I got it from this really prestigious, nice school, and I graduated with a 3.9 on a 4-point scale. And, I pretty much reached all of my goals. I got a job offer at the end, and I didn't even end up taking the job, and I wasn't even that happy. But I was so focused on, I have to do this. I have to do this. But then I didn't have a why. Why was I doing this?
Yeah. And it a lot of the mental health stuff you do, it all comes back to the why.
The why. Yeah. And most people don't. They just and I watch young people do. I volunteer at this summer camp every year. I've continued to do it throughout, my adulthood. Now I went to the same camp as a kid, and I watch these a different group of teenagers come in every year, and they have these, I'm doing this, and I'm going to do this at this school, this degree. After this year, I'm going to double major, do whatever. And I'm just like, you're 17, you have no idea. You're going to change your mind. 85. But, it's a life lesson we all have to learn. And now I just always tell them, just keep an open mind, just keep, if an opportunity comes up and it seems cool and it feels right, go for it.
Yeah. Life's all about making them choices and making that jump and gaining the experience. And I'm a big believer in things happening for a reason, both good and bad. And if I hadn't gone through what I did, we wouldn't be sat here now.
Yeah.
I'd if I'm honest with you, I'd be sat downstairs in a crappy mood. Louise would probably be in bed in whatever mood because I'd been horrible to her.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand what I was doing, and I didn't get that bit of help and whatever, and take that chance and reach out for that bit of help. And because I've done that, and I've had that bad experience, I've learned from it. I can look back at it. I don't let my past hold me back. My past helps me to go forward, and I look back at that experience, and I'm glad I made that choice to reach out for that bit of help and push myself to it, and it's just totally changed my life.
Yeah, and now it's led to all these different cool things.
Yeah.
And that all comes down to just mental clarity and stepping outside of your comfort zone and realizing how much fun that actually is. It's a blast. It's and I think if anybody's watching and take anything from it, if you're on the fence about making a change and you're looking for the sign, this is it. You know, you obviously have to make sure that you're not going to go homeless or hungry or anything. Like, you don't just want to up and make impulsive decisions without at least somewhat of a plan. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay to jump sometimes. It's okay to make a change. It's okay to decide. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm not being treated like I should.
Yeah.
I'm important, and I have this other opportunity, so it's time to.
Yeah, I know I can do more, and it's if it doesn't work out, it's absolutely not a failure. It's a lesson.
It is.
It's an education, and you know that I've tried that. That didn't work. Let's look at something else. What else do I think it could be?
Mm-hmm.
And if you draw a blank and you're like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know it's not this. Speak to people, speak to friends. I think what excites you, what gives you drive, and what you're passionate about. So whether it is sports, or whether it is cars, or whether it's maths or anything like that,
whatever,
whatever gives you a buzz,
see
if you can move over and do that. And again, if it doesn't work, start again. You can start again at whatever age you are.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no, the only people that put time limits on us is us. Like, we do that to ourselves. Nobody, I'm sure I know that we have people in our lives that, like, you know, I get all the time, when are you getting married? When are you having kids? Like, they don't even, without even asking, do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? You know, like, you can't let those things, you have to, only you know what you feel inside, what feels right to you. And it's blocking out the noise. Keeping the right people around you is important too. But blocking out the noise and just following, you know, sometimes it's a gut feeling. You might call it a gut feeling, you might call it an instinct, whatever, but we always gravitate to certain things. So you just have to be able to listen to those things.
I always say to people, just march to the beat of your own drum. And if your friends, but I say to them a lot of the time, I say, you probably will lose friends. I said, you won't lose them, you'll just fade away and go on different paths together, but you'll get new friends that are in the circles that you want to do and you're drawn to. And again, you may realize that actually this is not me, this isn't for me, just another step. But it's stepping stones through life that is leading you to where you want to be. It's experience, and it's knowledge that you're learning, and it's not, again, I keep saying it, but it's not a failure. It's just another step along the way. It is.
Yeah, I try not to look at anything as a failure. It's a lesson. It's an opportunity to grow. You know, it's obviously some lessons are harder to learn than others. You know, we're our own worst enemy most of the time. But yeah, when you're doing things for the right reasons and you're enjoying it, I've just noticed, you know, since I've made decisions for me and what makes me happy, I've had all these good things come into my life and good people and cool experiences. And it's just, I think when you're living life the way you're meant to, that stuff just has a way of, obviously you still have to work hard and things aren't just going to come. You know, like, you still have to work and you still have to commit to things and treat people right and all of that stuff. But yeah, when you're following your passion and feeding those passions, it just, all the good stuff just rushes in.
Because you're in the right place at the right time. And you're meeting the right people at the right time. And it just, again, you can have stuff that feeds the negativity, but you've also got stuff that feeds the positivity.
And I think so many people get distracted by the negativity because for some reason in our world today, the negative seems so just everywhere, I guess. But and it's hard when you go down like a negative path and you just see negative everywhere.
I think it's because, again, it goes back to, it's easy. It's easy news to sell. It's an easy front cover on a newspaper or a magazine or an article online or whatever it is to get clicks, clickbait and things like that, because it's
people
easy
love
to
the drama.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they
Mm.
all love the drama. They all love catfish and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I get sucked into that so much. I'll come downstairs and it'll be on. I'll be like, 3 hours have gone past and I've been sat watching Neve go around the
Yeah.
country.
It's like the drama. I don't know, like humans are just like drawn to, I don't like my own drama. Like I don't want drama in my life personally, but like, so sometimes it's just like a train wreck. You can't not watch
it. And then you second
and then
guess,
this last whole year,
I knew it.
I knew it. Yeah, for sure. I watched this show called 90 Day Fiance, and it's just trash TV. Yeah, it's terrible TV. But I'll sit and like, especially in the wintertime when you can't leave the house, and it'll be like 3 or 4 hours I've been watching.
Yeah.
Like, why am I watching this? This is crazy.
Yeah, you sort of come out, you trance, don't you? Go, I've lost 3 hours of my life watching.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, why, like it's just garbage TV, and like you're like, why am I, like Chris makes fun of me all the time. You're like, oh, you watch 90 Day Fiance again? I'm like, maybe.
It's massive, though, isn't it? It's absolutely massive.
I'm like, you're gonna watch it sometime and you're gonna see what I mean.
Yeah, see, we're sat talking about it now, and we could probably talk for about half an hour about it.
we could have a whole video on 90 Day Fiance. I'm sure there's people out there doing that though.
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
recapping episodes.
Yeah, they're and there's definitely people living that life.
For sure. But yeah, like that's like human nature is just to get like sucked. And like I said, I don't want it in my life, but like it's like on TV and stuff. But some people just get sucked. Even like they just thrive on drama in their life too. They don't know how to behave when there's not chaos and drama. And but like you said, because it's easier.
If they've grown up in an environment with it as well.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
They've seen that growing up, and arguments, whether it is with parents or whether it is between siblings, and they constantly got that
normal.
Yeah, and they don't understand why relationships are failing and things like that. But it's drama is not good.
No,
unless it's 90 Day Fiance.
Exactly, unless you can watch it on TV. But but yeah, it's just I don't think people realize how good positivity and happiness feel. Like those are really good feelings, and it's sad to think about because I think so many people just never experience it and they don't know any different. And like you said, if you grew up in it, it's really hard to break that cycle.
I am. Do you know what I'm doing a lot of? And like manifesting thoughts and thinking, I want to do this. I want to get a certain message out, whether it is the on the social media side of things. I want to get this message out, or I want to get this particular project. There was one project that came together that I've been planning for a while. We did it on Monday, with a mental health charity here in the UK, and we did it on one of the big building sites. It's quite a prestigious site that we're working on, and we got it achieved. But people that we did it for, again, they let themselves down badly, because although the message is changing and people want to help and get the message out there, I think people don't understand how to do it and how to get that message across, and it can be frustrating sometimes. Monday, that's a better word for it. Monday was a very frustrating day for me, but I'd been focusing on this project and thinking about it. I'm manifesting the thoughts of this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do to get the message across. And I've done it. I've got the message out there, and people on that particular building site now can click on the little QR codes that we've got up there, and it takes them through to websites where they can get support and help from, and a little bit of guidance. And
that's so cool. Yeah,
it's just positive thinking. Thinking.
That's really cool. That's a really neat idea.
Yeah, I'll
but yeah, that's pictures. For sure. I'll check it out. That positive thinking is so important. And manifesting thoughts, like speaking things into existence. Like people think you're crazy when you say stuff like that, like you can't speak things into existence. And it's, I mean, maybe not literally, but if you keep those thoughts long enough, eventually, I just think all of that comes to fruition after a while,
Yeah.
because you just stay focused. Like, this is what I'm doing, and I've had to tell myself that so many times throughout since I started, and even still, like, I'll work really hard on something and then it gets like no traction. Like, I can't get it, and then I'm like, like, what am I doing? But I just always tell myself, just stick with it. Just stick with it. I think people hear mental health and they have like a block, or they're like, oh, that's boring, or that's whatever. And so I just keep telling them it's just going to take time. People will be talking about this, and then you'll be ahead of it all.
Yeah.
And you just have to. And that's another thing, when you like what you do and you're passionate about what you do. If this was something I hated and it made me miserable, there's no way I'd be able to keep doing it. There's no way I could keep posting every day or doing these videos. And, we've been talking for like an hour and a half. Yeah. Like, there's no way that we'd be able to do that if it wasn't something we both liked.
Yeah. Because the conversation would just dwindle. But
it would.
I know, absolutely. We could sit here for another 2.5 hours and carry on talking about it.
For sure.
I'd probably fall asleep, because it's.
I was gonna say, if it wasn't 11, is it 11:30 there? 10:30.
10:30.
Yeah. Because it's 20 till 6 here. Yeah. But yeah, when you like what you do, I used to, sit and listen to like guys in the industry like Chris or my dad or other people I know, and they can just sit and talk about their jobs that they've done, and like, you can tell they love it. And that would make those early mornings and all the hard stuff a lot easier. But they also work for companies that look after them, and Chris has been it, and they're appreciated, and all of that stuff goes into it as well. So not everybody, I think a lot of people aren't that lucky.
I think that goes a long way with people, and gratitude and appreciation, because just saying thank you, being polite, just being polite to people, and speaking to people like a human being, and not some dirt on the bottom of your shoe. And it goes a long way, and you'll get a lot more out of people, instead of having to entice them with a cash reward or payment reward.
It doesn't have to be anything crazy. I remember when I was at my internship, and it was an unpaid internship. I wasn't allowed to get paid for it, and I was working like at more hours than I was supposed to at the community mental health center I was at. And my supervisor, I would get Subway almost every time I'd go, like every time I'd work there, because it was close by. So I had been doing some extra work and like working late and stuff like that. And I got there the one day, and she had put a Subway gift card on my desk, and like thanked me. And it just made my whole day. I was like, just because I was fine with not like getting paid out, because I knew that was part of the thing. I couldn't, with my school and stuff like that, but just that little act, like, it bought my next few lunches, and it was.
They thought about it, and they appreciated everything you've done, and then it makes you work harder again for them, because you're being appreciated, and it's just the little things in life make a big difference.
They do.
It can totally change somebody's day, and that's what it's all about.
For sure. Well, that was like a lot. That was a lot of information. We covered a lot.
There's probably about 3 videos there.
It was.